Let's bring in our NewsNation political panel of contributor Denise Gitsham and former Republican congressional candidate in California, Democratic strategist Scott Bolden joining us as well. Scott, Denise, always great to see both of you. Can the Democrats win this thing, Scott, tonight? Tennessee 7?
Well, it's close, and the Democrats are winning already because the Republicans are putting a lot of money into a deep red district in Tennessee. Just think about that. He won it by 22 points a little over a year ago. I mean, it makes no sense, but affordability and those prices, because of are rising and tending to rise because of tariffs, and that messaging for the Democrats certainly worked in New York, certainly worked in New Jersey and Virginia, and we'll see, and it looks like it's working in deep red blue Tennessee. Because think about it, who cares about labels if you're going to make my life more affordable? I don't care what political label you have. And so it'll be interesting to see. I think the Republicans will pull it out, but if they lose by if they win by 2 to 5 points, that's an emotional victory for the Democrats, but it's a telltale sign on what's to come in 2026.
Well, it's one of the things that's interesting about it, Denise, at least if you read about Afton Bain, the Democratic candidate, this is not like a middle-of-the-road moderate Democrat. You know, Al Gore was a Democrat from Tennessee. That's not the type of Democrat. She's a left-wing person. You know, some people say the AOC of Tennessee and this kind of thing, and proudly so. That's what. And if she were to win, I think AOC was a big story. That was New York. If you know, someone on the left won in Tennessee, that wouldn't be great for Republicans. What would you say?
Look, I hate when Scott's right, and in this case, I have to agree with Scott. You know, this feels like a huge warning to Republicans, now that we're a year out from midterms, that you can sound as crazy as this woman does, calling for defunding the police, hating Nashville, which is part of her district, and hating country music. I mean, that's like religion down there. But nobody cares as long as people feel like they're prospering. Look, Maslow's hierarchy of need always dictates human behavior. So as long as nobody feels like you're feeling their pain, I feel like we need to go back to James Carville and again look to a Democrat who understood the playbook really, really well, and remember that not only is it about the economy, stupid, but you got to pull a page from Bill Clinton's playbook and say, I feel your pain. And I don't understand why Republicans refuse to break with the president and speak to the needs of their constituents, because President Trump dropped precipitously in approval ratings in that district, especially amongst independents, which is where that difference is going to be made up.
Well, let me stick with you, Denise, on that, because that brings up an interesting point, because all this stuff that Trump was saying, we played part of it, but I have another clip on affordability. Like, what is he talking about with the idea that it's about democratic messaging? Here's more of how Trump put it today, where, you know, the whole thing's fake and everything else. Here he is.
There's this fake narrative that the Democrats talk about, affordability. They just say the word. It doesn't mean anything to anybody. Just say it. The word affordability is a con job by the Democrats. The word affordability is a Democrat scam. They say it, and then they go on to the next subject.
I know he can't run again, but that can't be smart politics. I mean, obviously people know what it is that can't afford to pay their bills. I mean, Republicans must be cringing when they hear him talking like that, Denise.
Well, I know I am. I'm not sure about the rest of them. I don't understand why he'd run as the affordability president if he doesn't want the word affordability to be a campaign slogan. Look, it doesn't make any sense. And I think there's some serious spiraling going on in the Trump camp. And unfortunately, Republicans have tied their fortunes and their futures so closely to the president that even when he's really out of touch with what Americans really need right now, they continue to follow him. That's what you're seeing in this race in Tennessee 7. And I think what Scott said is unfortunately true, and it breaks my heart to agree again with Scott. But if this becomes a 2 to 5 point race, this is a real canary in the coal mine.
That's it, Scott. See, look at this. You're having a great night.
I hate it.
Yeah, well, we're not that far apart. I'm a business Democrat. But here's the other thing as to why District 7 isn't following Donald Trump and the race is close. If you look at the demographics, you had the demographics up about 15, 20 minutes ago with the political analysts. They're 35 years old on average. They make an average of $75,000 a year, I think. And let me tell you something. Those are young people with families and who are doing pretty well down south. but not, you know, they're not upper class, but they're middle class and trying to get upper class. And I got to tell you, affordability is huge. Childcare, food prices, gas prices, and this is his economy now. He can no longer blame Biden, although he will. This is his economy, and he promised to bring prices down. Instead, he gave them tariffs. And so this is an intelligent voter down there in District 6, and that may be the reason why this race is so close.
Let me do one more thing before we go. Food stamps. The SNAP benefits, a big story in the shutdown. President Trump wants to withhold some benefits in Democratic areas until he looks into the recipients. Here's Brooke Rollins on that.
29 states said yes, not surprisingly, the red states, and that's where all of that data, that fraud comes from. But 21 states, including California, New York, and Minnesota, the blue states, continue to say no. So as of next week, we have begun and will begin to stop moving federal funds into those states until they comply.
Denise, quick thought on this one?
Well, SNAP is a federal-state partnerships, and states have to, by law, meet federal administrative and reporting requirements as a condition of receiving federal cost sharing for administration. She didn't say they were cutting off SNAP benefit money. They can't do that. It's congressionally directed. But what USDA can do, and what she's alluding to, is that they're requiring a state to pay liability amounts that are tied to high error rates or noncompliance, and offsetting those amounts by reducing the federal share of administrative funds that are otherwise due to the state. That's entirely within the law, and that's what they're planning on doing with states that refuse to report. And I don't understand why you would refuse to report waste, fraud, and abuse of taxpayer dollars for a benefit that is so essential to 42 million Americans. I just don't get it.
You don't get it.
Well, those blue states are... Yeah, those blue states are probably doing that already, whether they're reporting to the feds or cracking down on it at the state level. But think about the Republicans. This is politically makes no sense. The optics on this of withholding SNAP benefits or withholding whatever benefits there are until we agree to report certain information to the feds. Well, what is that information? That could be personal information that could be used against them. Listen, I'm all about cracking down on fraud, waste, and abuse, and I think most Democrats are as well. But the political optics of them withholding certain benefits or monies from these blue states, it's going to send a message. It's going to send a message to those same voters who love affordability. They're going to send the same message, Denise, that he doesn't care and your party doesn't care about poor people, and whether they're black, white, yellow, brown, poor people are expensive to take care of. And if they suffer because of this, we're going to hang it around Trump's neck in 2026 like it's a heavyweight metal.
You guys were getting along so well. Denise and Scott, thank you both. You're both great. Quick break. We'll be right back.